Guru Nation, welcome to another episode of Random Musings from the Clinical Trials Guru. This is also going to go on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you don't know what to comment, put a robot emoji. Helps with the algorithm and it shows the overlords, which is Google overlords, that we are here. We can play the game they play with robots. So I've got very special guest, Ramon Ascueta, all the way from Argentina. And we got to get you on Latinos in clinical research too, Ramon. But Ramon is a clinical psychiatrist in Argentina, and he made the transition recently to be CRA in Argentina. A lot of different reasons there, but at the end of the day, CRA provides, at least for in Ramon's situation, more opportunities for him. And I agree as well. So this is important not just for our international medical graduates, but for anybody looking to become CRA, but especially, of course, for you international medical graduates. Apparently, a lot of you guys watching are international medical graduates. So welcome all the doctors out there watching. Clinical research is potentially a good opportunity for you. And let's hear Ramon's story. So thank you so much, Ramon, for coming on.
No, thank you, Dan. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a huge fan of your channel. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of videos. Follow you on a few of the social networks, and
Oh,
I gotta
yes.
say, full disclosure, you're probably one of the reasons why I've really took the nerve to make this change. Which, as you said, happened very recently. I was a clinical psychiatrist uh, until probably, I think I've made a decision earlier this year, but of course, a lot of things had to be moved and a lot of decisions had to be made. And I've started working on clinical research about 3 months ago.
Wow.
So
That is
that's
very
the
recent. That is very recent.
of
You're in Argentina, so the healthcare system or the economy overall may be a little different than the United States and the rest of the world. But honestly, I think the whole world is going to have to deal with this issue of healthcare affordability and how to make it accessible to all while keeping the clinicians motivated to keep doing it, right? But right now, if you're in that situation, because I just talked to a doctor yesterday here in Arizona, Ramon, he's getting ready to shut down. He's a little bit up in the age, he's not young like you, but he said, you know what, he's kind of going to phase out and he's looking to research as an option as a principal investigator. So, you're not the only one, Ramon, who's making that switch. But how did you discover clinical research?
well, so I've I've always had an interest for research. Of course, it was always sort of like more of observational type of research, epidemiology, perhaps more focused on diagnosis or uh, actually trying to describe what I was seeing on my daily practice. But I've always done that. Of course, I've only recently discovered that there's a huge industry which functions to develop new devices and new drugs. So uh, I guess that was the part that I discovered recently. That
Mm-hmm.
the possibility to focus 100% on that task. I guess.
Yeah, people underestimate how large
Hmm.
this industry is. These CROs are PPD, which is one of the not even the biggest. They're like probably the fourth or fifth biggest CRO. They have a market cap 16 billion with a B dollars. IQVIA, which is the largest, has a market cap of 49 billion with a B. So these companies generate, I mean, they're worth lots of money. It's still to this day interesting to me how more people don't why more people don't know about clinical research, and people like you in your situation or others similar to you. You know, they sometimes like clinical research is a great option. I have an example, Ramon. I'm here and I just moved to Yuma, Arizona from California. So it's a border town next to Mexico. It's maybe 20 minutes from the border with Mexico. There's a big city in Mexico there across the border called San Luis, Rio Colorado. And the doctors from there come here to work and they work as medical assistants uh, because they don't know about research. First of all, there is no research here. I'm bringing it here. There's a little bit with the hospital, just oncology. So there is if they knew about CRA, their minds would be blown away. I'm telling you, we need to
Well,
do more. This is why I'm interviewing you.
that's great. I'm actually kind of a spokesman to some of my colleagues. You know, I try to, um, uh, you know, from a personal experience, of course, but there's actually a lot of opportunities here. You know, there's I've for what I've seen, Argentina's really a country that can bring good quality data and a lot of patients. I mean, we
Hmm.
have great quality doctors. We have a very sound uh, formation, I guess.
Even academic infrastructure.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm actually now like the the one that from the other side is trying to. I mean, of course, it's not a preaching, but I guess it's about knowing what's out there. I didn't a few months ago, so uh, I'm guessing I'm gonna have a few turnovers in a few
You're
months.
Neo in the Matrix. You tell them take the red pill. The red pill is the one you're gonna wake up, guys. And it's not just for a doctor. International matter like nurses. You know, a lot of nurses here in the U.S. are fed up with the jobs that they have to do. They don't realize they could be CRAs. Just a few tweaks to their experience, a few internships here and there, maybe my CRA academy, maybe something else. I don't want this to be a commercial for my academy, but it's helped a lot. You know, so any kind of clinician or even just anyone with any interest, but it makes so much sense for international medical graduates to pursue clinical research. So how did that work? Like you made the decision, you made your resume, you put your resume out there. What did you get? You know, what was the experience?
Okay, so first of all, as you said, I had to like completely 180 change my CV because I was always aiming into assistance, and I had to like wipe some pages out of it. Uh, as at the beginning, of course, I've didn't receive a lot of feedback, but maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month later, I was getting. Uh, I've, I had like 10 to 12 interested people on my
Wow.
CV. Of course, some of them with the first interview, perhaps they weren't all that much interested anymore. But I continue the whole HR process, the first part, for at least four CROs parallel. So that was like a crash course into what was expected of me and what I could as a physician, of course, or with my own experience, what I could leverage out of each interview. But
Absolutely. And
it
it
was a
must
very
be
fast.
it must be easier for you to have conversations with PIs as a CRA than other CRAs that are not physicians, right? You're talking, you know, physicians like to talk to people on their level. I mean, it's not like they think like they're better, but it's nice to have a physician conversation, right?
Of course, I don't want to generalize, but PIs might sometimes, you know, be a little bit on a high horse, which is fine. I mean, some of them really earned their place. But yeah, as I was telling you earlier, I've been assigned to monitor psychiatry studies. So for me, it's like a win-win, and it's also not only given me more, of course, tools to understand the protocols and the IP brochure or whatever. But it's also a very good leeway into a good rapport with PIs and study coordinators and sub-Is. So um, it really it's a plus. It's a great plus. I mean, you can talk the same language. You can um, give a lot of feedback earlier on. Questions related to protocol, questions related to adverse event reports, or you know, it's not like you are the CL or the medical monitor, but you can really, I mean, use that advantage, I guess.
Yeah. So how busy is it in our research right now is very busy here in the US. There's not enough CRAs. The current CRAs are getting more workload because the CROs are not able to hire enough staff basically. So like is it the same in Argentina right now?
It's the same. I mean, there's a lot of positions. There are, of course, turnovers between CROs and everything, but generally, I guess there's a need for CRAs. The workload it's pretty heavy, I guess. Of course, I'm only on finishing my whole onboarding process and everything, but I already had 3 studies on my backpack, and
Wow, 3 studies.
yeah, and I see my coworkers, closing sites, making 3 to maybe 4 visits a week, and it's of course that's
Wow.
very intense
Are they going
workload.
just in Argentina or all throughout South America?
Generally, Argentina. I guess this opportunity also translates to other countries. Brazil, of course,
Yeah.
Chile,
Colombia.
Paraguay, Colombia. I mean, uh, generally the regional positions are more up on the chain, I guess. But
I see.
CRAs mostly on the territory. And Argentina has a huge territory. So I just returned from an SIV with a coworker from Mendoza, which is an hour or so flight. Um, but generally, yeah, we travel inside Argentina.
Wow, okay. So how are you liking CRA after 3 months so far?
Well, I'm to be honest, I'm really happy. I mean, it's been a roller coaster this past months. Uh, I recently became a father too, so that's
Oh,
also
congrats.
on
Congrats.
the menu. Thanks, on the menu of changes being done recently. But I'm really happy and really excited for what comes next. I guess, of course, you never know. I what's coming, and I do know I have a long way as a CRA. I mean, there's a lot to learn. It's an advantage position to get the whole of basically the whole life cycle of the protocol, but also a lot of different players on them.
Mhm.
Uh, and I'm also very excited to be working on psychiatry protocols, which is, of course, which I hope to be able to continue doing.
Psych is busy. CNS is busy. It goes through waves. But are you doing only psych, or are you doing other indications?
I'm doing psych and vaccines, which,
Ah,
of
okay,
course, here in
because of
Argentina,
COVID. Yep.
it's also booming in a way.
Yes. I think I talked about this. I have a theory. Well, it's not a theory. It's an educated guess that the next decade is going to be huge for vaccine research because of the mRNA paradigm shift. And a lot more research needs to be done on it. I mean, people are not confident. There's a lot of people here in the US. I don't know about Argentina. Probably about half of the country is hesitant to get the vaccine because of the new technology that it is, mRNA. It's probably like that. I'm assuming in Argentina too. No.
Well, there's I would say the percentage would be a bit less, I guess, especially because sometimes, and I don't want to generalize a lot, but on uh, on this side of the whole map, these types of interventions are mostly seen as a positive thing. I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
the fact that our country is getting vaccines every day is a positive thing. So, of course, there are people against them, uh, bluntly, explicitly, and others more hesitantly or doubtful about it, just trying to see what's happening with the safety reports, or maybe with special populations. I think here in Argentina, the most hesitant populations is moms and dads, which are actually trying to see what's going on with teenagers and
Mm-hmm.
children with vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's there are crazy amounts of volunteers out there, which
Yeah.
confirms that there are a lot of people that see this as a positive thing, and of course, which it's also very good for the whole protocol.
I'm seeing a lot of vaccine studies now that I'm back in the trenches of site ownership and here in this underserved city. Yeah, I'm like doing the biz dev. I'm seeing vaccine studies, a lot of CNS. Unfortunately, I don't have a psychiatrist in this city. It's 200,000 people. There's only one psychiatrist, and he's a hospital employee, and I can't approach them because the hospital won't let me do research. I have to find independent doctors here, which is tough, but I found a few. So, any plans for you, I guess, on, well, you just became a CRA, so my guess is that you're going to stay busy for the foreseeable future. But, like, have you ever, is there the infrastructure in Argentina, like, to own your own site as a PI, or I mean, you were close to this kind of, right? You must have considered when you were a clinician, hey, why don't I be a PI?
Well, it's something that I still consider and I had on the past. Infrastructure is not that easy, I guess.
Hmm,
Uh, it's sort of like a pretty closed club, I
I
guess.
see.
Um, but that's for sure. That's on
I
the
see.
horizon, I
I
guess.
see. So the sites you monitor primarily, are they most of them affiliated with hospitals or universities there?
No, especially in psychiatry, I think here in Argentina, we have there are all private practices,
Ah, okay.
like not a huge sites, PI, two sub I's,
Mm,
a lot of raiders out there,
yeah.
but not the whole hospital or clinic. No admissions, no beds, no nothing, just
Okay.
rooms
That's
and
interesting.
chairs.
That's always interesting to hear different countries at their take. So I like the fact that it's a lot of private sites out there, and it's tells me it's a little more open, maybe, even though it's like a close knit community. One of the things I like in Latinos in Clinical Research, we probably need to have you on. One of our co-founders, Judy Galindo, she owns another clinic not too far from me, across in California, 30 minutes away from me. She owns a clinic also in an underserved area, like 90% Latino patients. She's having a very hard time. They do psychiatry also. She has a very hard time getting rating scale like PANS
Hmm.
translated into Spanish over here. And I'm like, why don't you just, there's studies going on like in Argentina in the same CRO. Why don't you guys let us borrow they don't allow it. So I don't understand why.
There's actually a lot of uh, trouble here with rating systems. Also,
Mm,
the main difference. I mean, of course, there's this whole uh, cultural issue that it's always present in psychiatry. When we compare uh, ratings or raters on Europe or Colombia, there is there's tendency for us to be a bit more hypertimic, and so
mm,
that can shift
mm.
sometimes the precision. But taking that off the table, raters here in Argentina are asked to no to go through certifications, of course, but those certifications are in English, which of course it's also
Really?
very, very, very weird. It just happened with a rater this morning. Uh, she didn't pass the pants because she saw the patient on the video and she was almost not looking at her. She looked at her like 2 times and she said, "Okay, that's a negative symptom." And the rater was, "Well, she was looking at you." And here in Argentina, we look at each other, we shake your hands. I mean, there's a lot more.
Yeah.
Um,
So is was the PANS so the assessment training is done in English, but the
mhm.
actual interview, I imagine, is in
It's in
Spanish.
Spanish, of course. Yeah,
So they just translate the scale? They have
yeah.
somebody translate? Okay. Yeah, I don't understand why they can't do that here. I mean, sometimes they will, but a lot of times they say, no, we don't have the Spanish translation. So now I'm going to tell them, well, what's
Well,
Argentina doing? Because usually these studies are international, right?
well, we do have a local regulation which demands that every important document must be translated. So we got translated protocols, translated IP brochure, everything must be translated to Spanish.
Hmm.
So that is something that, of course, has that impact eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay. That's interesting. What about so I had this question the other day from a IMG. Can you would you consider being a medical monitor?
Uh, I guess I would.
Hmm.
Right now, I don't think I have enough information, perhaps, to make that decision. Uh, there are more roles in the industry that I could have even imagined of.
Yeah.
So right now, it's not perhaps on my plate right now, but
Okay.
eventually it might be. It might be.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that a CRA right now. I can get. Uh, I can absorb a lot more of information, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to because pretty soon I'm going to start hiring coordinators for my site here in Arizona and there's a few candidates that are international medical graduate from Mexico and some of them just are going to live here permanently, but there's one that prefers to actually live in Mexico. And I'm going to let him know, hey, you know what? Like, not only can you be CRA if you get some CRC experience, but you can eventually be medical monitor, at least for Mexican sites, right? Typically, if you're an international medical grad and you immigrate to the US, they won't have you be the medical monitor for US
Mm.
sites. But like wherever your license is based, theoretically you can be medical monitor in that country. And we've had actually some medical monitors from Latin America in the past because it was international trial. So it is possible, but the that medical monitor was living in the country. Um, he was not in the US as an
Right.
IMG. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on. So enjoy your career, Ramon. I really appreciate you coming on. And any advice for the people out there, maybe similar situation as yours? It didn't sound like your job hunt was very stressful, or was it?
No, it wasn't. I mean, I, 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 I do think I have a knack to adapt and to change. But if I had to um, leave some sort of message for colleagues there or to other professionals, I mean, you said it, the nurses or biochemical out there, would be to focus primarily on some type of experience. I mean, I had it luckily, but it's out there. You just perhaps have to try a bit to get those 1 or 2 years of experience, and the possibilities after that are just endless.
You said it. 1 or 2 years, that's the magic. That's where everything turns in your favor. The leverage, all in your favor. I would say in a time like we are now, it's even less. I mean, it's 6 months
Probably, yeah.
to 12 months. But you're right. You're absolutely right. 1 to 2 years, and everything starts turning in your favor, no matter where you are in the world.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, I
Exactly.
appreciate it, Ramon. So, any advice for the people out there? Just persevere, look into it, right? Look into research. It's not for, maybe not for everybody. I do think it's for everybody, but I'm biased. Maybe it's not for everybody. I don't know.
Well, there's a part, I guess, for everyone. And if you don't want to be into clinical research, you can always try to be a subject. So
That's right. I have this quote I say with Monica from Latino in Clinical Research. No matter your background, there's a role for you in research. So maybe you don't want to be a CRA, that's fine. You're marketing. Guess what? We need patients recruitment. We need clinicians. We need more marketing. There's no matter what your background, there is a place for you in research. This is a huge industry. People don't understand that. So take some time, learn about it, connect with Ramon. His LinkedIn profile is underneath this video. So click it, follow him. You have to network, guys. All right. So I appreciate it, Ramon. Thank you so much for coming on. And I know you're busy. Enjoy your Friday afternoon.
thanks, Dan. Thank you for having me here. It's a
Thank
pleasure.
you, everybody, for watching, and we'll catch y'all later. Go follow Ramon. Bye bye.